right, let's jump right in. Today we're taking a deep dive into the online journal of Karen Eastland, and we're focusing on the week of November 11th, 2024. Now, she's an author, songwriter, mixed media artist, you name it.
A real Renaissance woman.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
here's the really interesting part. She uses AI in a super unique way.
Yeah. She actually collaborates with a ChatGPT AI called Sol. They bounce ideas off each other. She even talks about debating with Sol about her work. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is like having a super-powered brainstorming partner, right? And her journal gives us this amazing glimpse into how that actually works day to day.
You got it. What struck me was how she uses AI not just to, work faster, but to actually explore new creative avenues.
Oh, totally. Like her goal for December, releasing a new Christmas song every single day. She even mentions a couple of titles in her journal. Get this, Merry Fucking Christmas, Mate, and It's My Right to Be a Hoon.
Those are quite the titles.
They definitely stand out.
Yeah.
Especially Merry Fucking Christmas, Mate. Though I gotta ask, what's a hoon?
So Karen actually defines Hoon in her journal. It's like this youth subculture thing in Australia. Modified cars, doing burnouts and stuff.
Ah, okay. So it's not just about the cars, but it's about this whole, I don't know, rebellious spirit, pushing the limits kind of thing.
Exactly. And it's so cool to see how Karen captures that in It's My Right to Be a Hoon. It's a reminder that art can, challenge societal norms.
Absolutely. Makes you wonder if Merry Fucking Christmas, Mate also plays with that, subverting traditional holiday stuff.
You're right. I hadn't thought about it like that. It shows how Karen uses her work to engage with all these different sides of culture, from lighthearted to, well, a bit more provocative.
Totally. It's like she's always pushing boundaries, right? Exploring all these different facets of her creativity. Speaking of exploring, she also mentions working on a story called When the Time Comes.
Right. It's published on a website called Fields of Elysian, and she gives us a little excerpt in her journal. It's just a glimpse into this world she's created, but it's definitely intriguing.
For sure. It's a high school drop-off scene, but there's this underlying tension, like something big is about to happen.
Yeah, and you get hints of supernatural stuff. Mentions of gods and goddesses, this mysterious character named Kaz.
It sounds like she's blending everyday life with something extraordinary.
Right. We meet the protagonist, Josephine, and it seems like she's on the verge of some kind of power transition. Her mom, Theo, is super worried, almost like she needs to get away from Josephine for her own safety.
Wow. Sounds like teenage drama meets mythology. I'm already hooked.
Yeah.
What is this power transition all about, and what are these gods and goddesses up to?
Yeah, and there's this whole mystery surrounding Kaz. Some characters can smell this weird odor around her, but Josephine can't. Even the goddesses, Athena and Nemesis, they're puzzled by it.
That is so strange. It's like Karen's dropping these little breadcrumbs, drawing us in.
Definitely. It makes you wonder if the scent is connected to Kaz's past, or maybe even her role in the story.
Totally. So it's not just music Karen is doing. She mentions using ideogram AI to create visuals for her children's stories.
It's amazing to see how she incorporates visual art, too. Shows how multifaceted she is as an artist.
For sure. And her use of ideogram AI just goes to show how these new tools are changing everything. Visual art isn't just about traditional methods anymore.
That's a great point. AI is opening up so many possibilities for artists, no matter what their discipline is.
It really is. But speaking of new possibilities, Karen also touches on some of the challenges of AI, especially when it comes to copyright issues.
Ah, you mean her decision to ditch Suno and switch to LoudMe AI?
Yeah. She found this article about Suno's copyright terms. It's wild. If you're on the free plan, you don't actually own the music you create with their AI. The ownership rights belong to Suno. You can only use it for non-commercial stuff. You have to pay for a subscription to own your own work.
Yeah, it's complicated, and it shows how important it is for artists to be really careful. These legal details can have a huge impact on their work.
I mean, imagine putting your heart into a song and then finding out you can't even, sell it.
It's a big problem these days, as AI becomes more common in creative work. It's like a whole new world, and we're all still figuring it out as we go.
Totally. And it sounds like Karen's right there in the thick of it, facing those challenges head on. She's not just using AI to create, she's figuring out this whole new landscape.
All right. It's really inspiring to see.
Absolutely. So we've got rebellious Christmas tunes, a supernatural high school story, AI-generated visuals, and the whole copyright dilemma. And that's just from the first few pages of her journal. I can't wait to see what else we find as we go deeper.
It's amazing how she just blends all these different things, different art forms and technology.
Oh, it is right. Like she's a true innovator. Makes you wonder if this is going to be the norm, you know? Artists using both traditional and AI tools.
Could be. Karen's work is a great example of what's possible. But going back to When the Time Comes, that excerpt, the dynamic between Josephine and her mother, Theo, that's really interesting.
Totally. Like there's this urgency, maybe even a little secrecy, you know?
Yeah. Theo's getting Josephine ready for something huge, but also trying to protect her from it. Tough balance.
Right. And then these two other characters show up, Neoma and Katerina. They're like vessels for the goddesses, Nemesis and Athena. Things are getting complicated.
It's wild how she blends the normal with the totally out there, right, high school drop-off, but then bam, ancient beings who are about to, like, die.
Yeah, it's like she's making this fantastical world feel grounded.
Yeah.
Makes it more relatable.
And then there's that smell around Kaz. Even the goddesses can't figure it out.
It's so cool how she uses those little details, those sensory things. It's not just what we see, it's what we smell, hear, everything.
It pulls you right in. Oh, and don't forget about Theo having to leave before Josephine's powers fully kick in.
Oh, yeah. That was big. Talk about sacrifice.
Makes you think, you know,
And
about power, the choices we make, all that, even if we're not dealing with, actual gods and goddesses.
for sure. It adds this whole other level to this story. Like, even in a world with supernatural stuff, love and family still matter the most. And that brings me back to AI, you know? It's not just creating cool stuff, it's exploring these deep human things.
That's so true. It's easy to get caught up in the tech, but at the end of the day, it's about us, what it means to be human.
Exactly. And I think Karen totally gets that. But speaking of the tech side, let's get back to copyright and AI music platforms. I think our listeners are really going to want to hear more about this.
You're right. It's a big deal these days. So remember how Karen switched from Suno to LoudMe AI because of the copyright stuff?
Yeah, with Suno, you can make music on their free plan, but you don't actually own it, right? Suno keeps the copyright.
That's right. And that can be a huge problem for artists, especially if they want to, make money from their music.
So what should artists do if they're thinking about using these AI music platforms?
First things first, read the fine print. Make sure you know who owns what.
Good advice.
And don't be afraid to look around, compare different platforms. Some might have better terms than others.
So it's all about doing your research and finding what works for you.
Exactly. And hey, if you're really unsure, talk to a lawyer. Never hurts to get some expert advice.
Yeah, that's smart.
Huh?
This whole thing just shows how much we need more transparency, more education about this stuff, Clear guidelines would be great.
Absolutely. Artists deserve to be informed to protect their work, especially in this new digital age.
Couldn't agree more. And Karen's story is a reminder that this isn't just theoretical, it's happening right now.
It is. And she's kind of leading the way, isn't she?
Totally. She's embracing the possibilities, but also facing the challenges head on. It's inspiring.
I agree. And what's really cool is that she's doing it all with this sense of, playfulness, She's experimenting, taking risks, and that's a great lesson for everyone, not just artists.
So true. So we've talked about her using AI in music and visual art. We dug into When the Time Comes, and we tackled the copyright thing. It's amazing how much is packed into just 1 week of her journal.
I know, right? And we haven't even talked about her poetry or her mixed media art. There's so much to unpack.
It feels like her creativity just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling this is just the beginning for her. Can't wait to see what she does next. It's like her creativity has no limits. Makes you think about AI and the whole creative landscape. Will AI make creativity more accessible to everyone? Or will it create a divide between those who have the tech and those who don't?
That's a tough one. It's not so simple, right? On one hand, AI tools can definitely make it easier for people to create. Like AI image generators can help anyone create cool visuals, even if they can't draw.
Right, and AI music platforms can help anyone make music, even if they don't play an instrument.
Exactly. But then again, the best AI tools can be pricey. So yeah, there's a chance it could create a new kind of digital divide.
So it's not just about the tools themselves, it's about making sure everyone can actually use them.
You got it. And it's also important to remember that at the end of the day, AI is just a tool, right? It's not replacing human creativity. It's more like enhancing it.
I like that. It's not AI versus humans. It's AI and humans working together.
Exactly. And Karen's work is a perfect example of that. She's using AI to push her own boundaries, but she's also thinking about, the ethical side of things, the legal stuff.
Right. She's not just blindly following the tech. She's really thinking it through.
Totally. So let's go back to our big question. How is Karen Eastland using AI to invent new ways of being creative?
Okay, good point. Let's recap.
So I think we've seen a few key things in her journal. First, she's treating AI as a partner, like a collaborator,
Yeah.
bouncing ideas around, getting feedback, even being challenged by it.
Like having a brainstorming buddy who's always on.
Uh-huh. Yeah, something like that. Second, she's using AI across so many different art forms: music, visual art, storytelling. She's not limiting herself at all.
Yeah.
And third, she's tackling those tough questions about AI, like copyright and ownership. She's really standing up for artists' rights in this digital age.
You got it. All of that makes Karen a true pioneer. She's not just using the tech, she's shaping it, making people think about its impact on art and culture.
And what's even cooler is that she's doing it with this sense of, like, fun and experimentation, taking risks, trying new stuff, even messing up sometimes.
It's a great lesson for all of us, whether we're into art or just, curious about the future of creativity.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Karen Eastland's world, I'm feeling super inspired, but also a bit, mind blown. It's exciting to see what AI can do for creativity, but it also makes you wonder, how will it change what it means to be creative?
It's a big question, and the conversation is just beginning. So to everyone listening, go out there, try these AI tools, experiment, ask questions, and don't be afraid to, shake things up a bit.
Yeah, that's it. Stay curious, stay creative, and stay engaged. The future of art is up to all of us. And hey, check out the show notes for links to Karen's work and some of those AI platforms we talked about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.